The man sensed the zombie outbreak was about to happen. He immediately contacted his parents, and they agreed to meet at the shelter he had built in the mountains. By now, the airport was packed. It seemed he wasn't the only one who felt the end was near. He was lucky enough to catch the last flight. As he sat down, all he could think about was making it home safely. Suddenly, the passenger next to him convulsed violently. The man's hair stood on end. A flight attendant came over to check on him, but the passenger said he was fine. He pulled on a mask and quietly inched toward the window, his heart racing for no clear reason. As the plane took off, he closed his eyes and silently repeated to himself, just a few more hours and he'd be home. Once he was home, he'd be safe. The engines roared as the plane climbed. Looking out, he saw city traffic had already ground to a halt. Dark clouds loomed in the distance. A storm was coming. Then, a faint movement came from the seat beside him. The passenger, bundled up tightly, was trembling slightly. The man tried to put as much distance between them as possible. The flight attendant noticed again and asked if he needed medical help. Just as her fingers were about to touch his shoulder, he turned. He lunged at her, biting. Chaos erupted in the cabin. The man's mind went blank. He fumbled with his seatbelt, struggling to his feet. In the confusion, he saw that the economy cabin behind him had zombies too. Screams and crashing sounds filled the air. Without looking back, he pushed forward, his only thought, find the crew. They had to get this under control. When he reached the cockpit, his heart stopped. The pilot's seat was empty. The captain was on the floor, struggling as a zombie tore into him. Alerts flashed on the autopilot panel. Then the plane tilted, unnaturally. They were going to crash into the city below. A deafening roar. The side of the fuselage scraped against a building's glass wall, sending showers of sparks flying. In the moment of impact, a wave of scorching heat washed over him, and then flames consumed everything. He jolted awake, trying to stand, only to be yanked back by his seatbelt. There were no flames, no infected, just the steady hum of the engines. The passenger next to him was still coughing. The flight attendant stood beside him with a thermometer and a blood pressure monitor. She said she had already contacted ground medical support. The man nodded weakly and muttered a thank you. It had only been a nightmare. He slowly sank back into his seat, his heart still pounding. Every detail of the dream had been terrifyingly vivid. The plane touched down smoothly. It taxied to the gate, and the cabin doors opened. He grabbed his bag and rushed out. But the scene in the terminal made his heart race again. People dragged luggage everywhere, faces etched with exhaustion and anxiety. An urgent news bulletin flashed on the screens. If you have a fever, seek medical attention immediately. Looking around at the departure boards, he saw that many flights had been cancelled. Only a handful were still departing. He quickened his pace, rushed out the airport entrance, and flagged down a taxi while calling his mother. His parents had already made it to the shelter. He immediately sent them a list of supplies: 2 high-power inverter generators, water purification equipment, solar panels. Never mind the price, he told them. Getting them in hand was what mattered. And wear masks. Don't talk to strangers. He looked out the window. The night was dark, and sirens wailed in the distance. Every nerve in his body was stretched tight. He hoped the shelter he had built in the mountains would keep his family safe.